Hi there. Welcome to your mean, median, mode, and range extra math lesson. My name is Mrs. Benson, and I am the instructional math coach at your school. In order to be prepared for the activities in this video today, you will need at least one piece of paper, something to write with, and a calculator if you have one handy. Are you ready to get started? All right, let's begin. I'm sure by now that many of you, if not all of you, are very familiar with TikTok. You may have just seen some videos on the TikTok app, or maybe you saw some on YouTube, or maybe you and a friend have messed around with some dances, before our social distancing, of course. Well, I want you to keep in mind that we are going to be thinking about the types of TikTok dances that we know. Unfortunately, we're not going to learn any new TikTok dances for this video, but because one big purpose of math is to think about how we can apply it to our everyday lives, I want you to think about all the different types of TikTok dances that you know. Why don't you pause the video for a moment and think about a couple that you know. If you don't know many or any at all, that's okay too. Let's start off by talking about a data set. A data set is a collection of numbers or values that relate to a particular subject. So for example, the TikTok dances. I want you to imagine that you and 6 other friends have put together a list of how many TikTok dances that each of you knows. Let's pretend that when you wrote them all down, this is what your list looks like. 6, 3, 7, 3, 13, 7, and 3. Now, before we go any further, I would like for us to stop and turn to one of those pieces of paper that I asked you to have ready at the beginning. I would like for you to divide your paper into 4 sections and label one section mean, median, mode, and range. Take a moment and pause the video now to complete this task, and then continue the video when you are ready to move on. All right, back to data set. So as you recall, this is the list of all you and your 6 friends and how many TikTok dances that you each know. The best thing to do when we are collecting our data and our numbers in our data set is to rearrange them in ascending order. That means we are going to organize them from least to greatest. As you can see, this set is currently not organized in that manner. What I would like for you to do now is pause the video, and in that paper that you just prepared, in the box labeled mean, I want you to rewrite this list in ascending order from left and the least to right, the greatest. Right now, your list should look like this: 3, 3, 3, 6, 7, 7, and 13. We'll get back to our workspace in just a moment. The mathematical term for average is mean. And the mean is the sum of the numbers divided by the amount of numbers. Well, what numbers are we talking about? We're talking about these numbers. We are going to find the sum of all of these numbers, and then we are going to divide that sum by the amount of numbers that we have. Let's practice this together. Using either your workspace here or your calculator, add up all of these numbers to find the sum. And you should get 42. Great job. And then the next thing we're going to do is that we are going to take 42 and divide it by 7. Use your calculator or your workspace now to find the quotient of 42 and 7. I bet you got 6 as your quotient because you are an amazing mathematician. So 6 is the mean number of TikTok dances that you and your friends know. Let's move on to median. The median of a data set is the number in the middle. See down there where numbers must be in ascending order? If you hadn't already practiced doing that, writing the numbers in ascending order, when determining the mean, now is the time that you absolutely must do it. Here I've written the numbers again in ascending order under the box labeled median. Now you can just look at this particular data set to determine the median, but because we never want to assume, we want to definitely show our work and not presume that we know exactly which one it is. So I'm going to show you what I like to do. I like to look at both the least and greatest numbers. I know there is definitely no way that they are in the middle, so I immediately cross them off. I am not left with one number quite yet, so I'm going to repeat this process with the second least and the second greatest number. I'm still not left with one number, so I repeat it one more time. And since there is one number remaining, that number, 6, is our median. Sometimes you just might find that the mean and the median are the same number. They might also be close to each other as well. So just because they're the same number should not give you any warning bells to tell you that your answer is incorrect. It is definitely very possible, as you see here. Let's talk about finding the mode. The mode is the number that appears the most in a data set. I always like to have my students say mode and most. When they're thinking of the long O sound in both of those words, and I let them hear it with their ears to help them remember that mode means most. If you'd like, say that with me again. Mode means most. And as you can see, once again, I have my list, my data set, written in ascending order from least to greatest. Let's look at the numbers in our data set. We have 3, 3, 3, 6, 7, 7, 13. I see that 6 is written once, 13 once, 7 2 times, and 3 was written 3 times. Because 3 is the number in the data set that appears the most, 3 is the mode for that data set. Finally, range is the difference between the greatest and least number. When we are figuring out the difference, do you remember what operation we are going to use? If you said subtract, you are absolutely correct. So what number is the greatest? You're right, 13. And the least? Absolutely, the 3. So when we're figuring out the difference between the greatest and least numbers, those are the only 2 numbers that we need to worry about. When we find the difference, think about how are we going to set up that subtraction problem. Pause the video and write that in your range box in your workspace now. And here you go, 13 minus 3. And what's the difference of 13 minus 3? It's 10, of course. Great job. Let's do a quick vocabulary review to check your understanding of mean, median, mode, and range. Let's start with the mean, or average. The sum of the numbers divided by the amount of numbers in the data set. Median is the number in the middle. The mode is the number that appears the most. Range is the difference between the greatest and least numbers. Finally, always remember to order the values from least to greatest. Now it's your turn to try this out on your own. The first box is what we already did together. Please pause the video, copy each of these data sets, and determine the mean, median, mode, and range for each of these data sets. If you need to rewind the video to any of the other parts to review what that means or how to complete that skill, you may do so. Please pause the video now. Here are the answers to your work. How did you do? I'm sure you did fantastic. If you made any mistakes, why don't you go back now and check your work and try it again to see if you can get the answer shown here in the answer key. If you are still struggling, I'll let you know what to do at the end of this video. I want to thank you so much for stopping by and working with me today on mean, median, mode, and range. If you are having any trouble with any of the activities here in this video, you can contact your teacher, or you can email me at this email address shown below. That is benson@nasd.k12.pa.us. Once again, thanks so much. You worked really hard, and I'll see you next time. Bye.